are so mad about it.
We are like minutes away from Hulk Hogan,
Yes.
Dana White, and Donald J.
All right, so who do they want to run against? Let's talk about that.
I want to say
so we can have an academic.
You see something? I want to say something. This spirit that this guy has, you guys think this because he's drunk? He's not. This whole thing is like this. And hey, listen. Hey, guys. The last time I was in a convention that felt like this was Obama 2008.
Yeah,
there's something happening where.
You just wrote a headline, by the way.
What's that?
You just wrote a headline with that comment.
Just like Obama, Trump is showing in this convention he has the capacity to alter the composition of the electorate. That is.
And it certainly did become a headline, folks, when Van Jones said that about the RNC. He said it feels like Obama in 2008. And that's something that we were talking about back then, folks. That was a feeling back then, and it is absolutely the feeling right now. All across the country, on the West Coast, on the East Coast, flyover country, everywhere. You've seen the numbers. Virginia is getting redder. Pennsylvania is getting redder. Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Florida, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, all these places getting redder and redder. Registrations up on the Republican side. In some places, flipping counties from Democrat to red in terms of more Republican registrations. Gallup has come out with a poll, and I'm going to share with you a video from Dr. Steve Turley, another fantastic patriot out there, who sort of explains this. And we've done videos, check them out, on the ID, Gallup ID, in terms of party identification. Where do you lean more towards? Republican, Democrat? Where are you leaning? If you are definitely Democrat, if you're definitely Republican, if you're leaning one way or the other. And folks, there is absolutely, they have never been wrong in this, going over past decades of when they've done this type of polling. It correlates very, very well with the number in terms of what that percentage number is and the actual national popular vote. And right now, folks, it dropped like a bombshell. So let's go and see what Dr. Steve Turley has to say about that. Let's do that right now. Watch this.
Like minutes away. Composition of the electorate, that is
the mass enthusiasm and unity that Van Jones saw there at that convention surrounding Trump, he said felt like Obama in 2008, when, of course, Obama went on to win in a landslide, an absolute electoral blowout. Now, I bring that up because we're now getting a poll that just dropped from Gallup that is actually, ironically, flying under the radar. You may be the first to hear about this poll. I don't know if it's because Democrats are trying to bury it or if Republicans just don't quite understand how significant this is. But we just had a poll drop that would indeed end up making Van Jones something akin to a prophet. It's the Gallup voter identification poll. It simply gauges voters on how they affiliate or align themselves politically. Are you Republican, a Democrat, or independent? And it's identity. Do you consider yourself a Republican, Democrat, or independent, regardless of whether you're registered or not? Gallup's been tracking with party self-identification now for decades, and this poll does something very interesting. It asks independents that if you had to choose between the Republican and the Democrat, how would you choose? So the poll has a section that includes what are called leaners. It asks independents how they lean politically between the two parties. But then something actually amazing happens when you compare those findings just before an election with the actual popular vote of the election. So we can compare Gallup's voter identification results that were published a couple of weeks before the election with the actual election outcome itself. And what's so stunning, as you can see here in this chart, is that the voter identification have come within 1 percentage point of predicting the overall popular vote in the last 4 elections since 2008. In fact, it's accurately predicted the winner in every presidential election for decades. But it's the last 4 presidential elections where Gallup's voter identification tracker has come within a single percentage point of the actual popular vote. So back in 2008, the Democrats had a +8 party identification advantage. Remember that, +8 party identification advantage. Obama went on to win the popular vote by 7.2. In 2012, the Democrats had a +4 party identification advantage, and Obama went on to win the popular vote by +3.9. Gallup was just 0.1 off. In 2016, the Democrats had a +3 party identification advantage. Clinton went on to win the popular vote by 2.1. In 2020, the Democrats had a +5 party identification advantage. Biden went on to win the popular vote by 4.5. So with that track record, which is actually the single most accurate predictive track record bar none, of course, the only question we need to answer here in mid-October is what? What's the voter identification advantage for 2024? Well, yesterday they dropped their numbers. Take a look.
Plus
Feast your eyes
7
upon this. It's Republicans +7. Republicans +7. Now, keep in mind, in all of Gallup's history of polling party identification, they've never seen a Republican advantage, period. Republican identification has never gone into the presidential election ahead of Democrat identification. And now it's not just Republicans are ahead. They're ahead by a whopping 7 points. Look at our good friend Rich Barris of the People's Pundits. Check out his response. Look at this. Holy shit. We're all swearing here. We're all sailors here. Holy shit. Oh my gosh. That's the final Gallup ID. You do realize that, right? I think that's their final. Oh my gosh. Republican +7. Now it gets better. In the previous 2-week cycle of polling, Gallup had Republicans up +5. And prior to that, it was Republicans +3. So Republican identification is trending upwards as we're heading into November. So this final number is actually, it's going to get averaged out. This +7 number is going to be aggregated into a rolling average over the last several months, which looks like in the end it's going to be a Republican +3 or +4, which again, as you can see, is just completely unprecedented. The Spectator put it beautifully. At Republican +3, you're looking at an eye-popping historical result predictive of something quite Trumpian happening in 3 weeks. That's some beautiful rhetoric, lovely prose right there, and you can see it in the aggregate polling, the Real Clear Politics aggregate that averages out all of the polling, the good, the bad, the ugly. Most unfortunately, the ugly, all the pathetic puff polls from the swampy cesspools of the likes of Morning Consult and Marist, and they're just Democrat operatives at this point, literally propaganda operatives.
So you can just tell here, folks, this is the Trump versus Harris. This is what was happening on October 17th, which is what today is. And you can take a look. On this day, Biden was up by 9 in the aggregate. Up by 9. Clinton was up by 7. So if you want to take the averages of that, you're at the Democrats. For the cycle of 2016 and 2020, we're up +8. Up 8 on the 17th of October. That's where they're at. And right now, they have Harris at 1.5. So she's literally doing anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5 points lower on this date as Biden and Clinton were doing on their respective dates back on the 17th of October, 2016, 2020. I mean, right now, folks, everything that you can think of is going her way. They've done panels on CNN, even on MSNBC, where they're showing black men are leaving her. She's winning in terms of large numbers, but her numbers compared to Obama, compared to Clinton, compared to Biden are significantly down into the high teens. That's with black men under the age of 44. Overall, with black men, the same thing. Latino men, she's down in. Even with black women, she is not doing as well as Biden did, and definitely not as well. She's like down 20 points from where Hillary Clinton was with black women, folks. Even those, leftist, left-stream media outlets are sounding alarm bells. She's not doing as well with the Asian vote. She's not doing as well with the Arab American vote. She's down in New York City. Now, she's probably going to win New York City, but Biden was up at 23 points. He won it by. Right now, she's at 9 points ahead. She is bleeding votes. She is bleeding support. She's up in the blue states, no doubt, but her numbers are not even close to what Biden did. So you have to ask yourself, what's going on? And when you take a look at the Gallup poll with voter identification, you take a look at the registration numbers were up all across the country in the Republican favor, as we talked about. Early voting, it looks like the Democrats are in the driver's seat in many of these areas, but not by the numbers that they were in 2016 or 2020. And Republican numbers are up in terms of mail-in ballots, early ballot voting. And we all know what happens on Election Day. Republicans storm the polls. Now, to get a sense of what's happening, take a look at what's happening out in Arizona, where the media went out there to try to find out what's going on, and they couldn't find a single Harris voter in early voting. Take a look at this. Larry Schweikert saying the Republican lead. Early voting Arizona. They're up 16 points. 13,000 over the Democrats, folks. 13,000 over the Democrats. Take a look at this.
Like minutes away from Hulk Hogan, Dana White.
They're outright blowing the Democrats out of the water. Even MSNBC, freaking MSNBC, is seeing it. Take a look.
And I should note, we did not find a single person who audibly would tell us that they voted for Kamala Harris. These were Trump supporters getting out to vote early in the all-important Mojave County. Take a listen to some of our conversations.
Well, the difference is going to be that everybody's coming out early, and everybody that we talked to has made a special effort this year to vote, and you can see it here in the parking lot. This library's usually got 5 cars in it. There's a ton of cars in it now.
Said you voted early for the first time.
For the first time.
Why did you vote early this year?
Honestly, because Donald Trump told me to.
What a good answer.
He keeps saying it, and I've been thinking about it, and so here I am.
So
that's one thing that's changed in the game plan from 2020, folks, where Trump and the Republicans were telling people, you know what, just come to the polls, don't do early voting, no mail-in ballots. I think that was a huge mistake at that time. It's changed. Trump has changed his tune. He's now accepting the fact, okay, that we need to fight the Democrats on the same battlefield. We need to do the same thing. We need to crush them in early ballot voting, in absentee voting, in early voting. And then at the same time, we know that we're going to crush them on the day of voting. These are the things, ballot harvesting where it's legal. We need to do all of that. And so, yes, folks, this has the feel of not an Obama 2008, but a Trump 2008. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasser. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow us. You all know what to do. Tell us in your comments below. Share. Tell us what you think. My final thought is always, when you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.